this is a conversation that's already old. I'm already tired of having it. I don't know how I can really inject anything new into it, but they've just got the wrong guy coaching this team. It's the bottom line. I mean, I know there's other layers to this, the cadence, the Rodgers, the Salah, the disrespect, the lack of trust. I mean, putting the ball on the turf, the stupid penalties. The New York Jets, to me, all right, the New York Jets are a team like a really nice sports car, and you look at the gas tank and you got 13 miles to go. Like, they should be so much better than they are, and the person leading them is just not it.
Should they, though, be better than they are?
I think that they should be.
Well, based on what? See, that's my problem where I say it's all hype and no substance. And you know how we felt about this. Like, we talked about it. I just couldn't buy into this team. Something felt off. And maybe it's because I haven't seen them ever have success. So Rodgers is the only one who's earned that respect because he's actually done it before, winning a Super Bowl, winning the MVPs. The Jets as a whole, whether it's Douglas, the owner, Salah, the rest of the guys who maybe have talent on paper, they haven't earned anything. And yet we were all so quick to just say, well, look at the talent on paper. They're going to be a 12, 11 win team, whatever it may be. Oh, the number 9.5, forget it. Playoff, Super Bowl division. Based off of what? They haven't earned squat. I want to say a lot of other things.
That was close.
But, yeah, exactly.
That was close.
So I guess my point is, are we sure that it's just a head coach and the Jets are actually better?
Well, I know that they're better than they played yesterday. Now, again, the bigger conversation, are they good enough to overcome Robert Saleh's deficiencies? My answer has always been no. What I've said this year is the Jets are going to win in spite of their head coach.
Right.
Now, I get where you're coming from. There's been this premature anointing, by many, Breece Hall's a superstar, Garrett Wilson's a superstar, this guy's a superstar.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys, tap the brakes here. I know that we live in a world of hyperbole, but I think we're a little too quick to identify the ceiling of these players so concretely. I listen. There's a lot of pieces here. There's a lot of good pieces here. There's a lot of talent here. I think if the Jets had a better head coach, I think they win with their eyes shut yesterday. Now, that doesn't mean that they win the Super Bowl, but I think they would have been more prepared against San Francisco. I think they would have been better out of the chute against Tennessee. The Patriots are just a joke, and things broke in their favor.
Yeah.
And they would have been more prepared and better equipped to play well yesterday. They just weren't ready to play. They had extra time off. Listen, now, we can look at them and say, why were they favored by 7, or are they really this good? The facts remain that they were.
Went up to 8 yesterday.
Is that what it really went off at?
I bet the Broncos. I
don't blame you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be an idiot if you're laying 7, 8 points with the Jets. I don't care who's coaching, who's playing quarterback. It changes everything about their season. It really does. Don't tell me it doesn't change anything. Now you're running a race that you should not be running this early in the season. The Jets should be 3-1. We should be talking about a win. We should be cruising into the Mets conversation, which we will. Don't worry, we got you.
It shouldn't even be a conversation. You're exactly right.
Nope, it should be, all right, wow, you disposed of this team that came across the country, the Broncos, that have a rookie quarterback that has a good defense, admittedly, but has done nothing on offense, and their head coach disrespected your OC last year. Go and lay it on them. Just bang them around from the opening. And by the way, don't tell me that it was raining, because during the game, I was watching my son's team. I recorded it.
Yeah.
Watching my son's team play 6 miles from MetLife, not a fumble. All right, so don't tell me about the weather, that the weather was that bad. The New York Jets, again, remain very good at one thing: underachieving. Robert Salah stinks.
Yeah, and that's not news. Like, we've been talking about that. You know how I feel about Salah.
It's not news, but it was amplified yesterday.
Again. It was amplified again. We've seen this story. How many bleeping false starts do you need to see, or stupid penalties do you need to see to realize that this team has no accountability?
It's a joke.
But it's been that way here's the biggest issue with the Jets, okay? And that's why I say they're all hype, no substance. There's no foundation. And the foundation comes from hiring the right people, whether it's the general manager who then hires the right head coach, and he builds a foundation. Like you're seeing the Giants try to build a foundation. Now, the talent has to come, the quarterback has to come, and then from there you start to elevate your levels of success. The Jets never built a foundation. They drafted some talented players, and then they went out and got the superstar quarterback. There is no foundation, and without that, there are holes everywhere. You watch them play, and you're thinking, how the hell is this team at home 8-point favorite over the crappy Broncos, who, yeah, and the Broncos are better than some people thought. I actually thought they'd be okay because of Peyton and because of that defense, and you saw signs of that last year, but still, the Jets are 8-point favorites at home on a year where people are talking about the Jets being Super Bowl. How can they not go out there and at least play a solid game from start to finish? They're a mess. The reason is they don't have a foundation, and I do think it starts up top.
Well, it always does. And then, yeah, you're right. It starts up top, and then it trickles down. There was one word that mattered yesterday, one word that was said, and it's accountability. That's all you need to know. I mean, Aaron Rodgers looked us in the eyes and said, I don't know what you want from me. I've been doing this for basically 20 years. If these clowns can't follow my cadence, that's their fault. I mean, so we got to mix everything up because these clowns don't understand when to actually snap the ball and when to react to the snap. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, just the look that what he projected post-game. Yeah, now, Rodgers didn't play very well either. I'm not making excuses for Rodgers.
You know what he said afterward? He took accountability.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, the weather sucked, but so did some of my throws.
That's exactly what he said. He said, I sucked and the weather sucked, but I got to be better, no doubt. And listen, Rodgers is trying to elevate a moribund, pathetic, lifeless, leaderless, rudderless franchise. Good luck.
Yeah, and let's listen to the quote, and then we're going to get back to the calls here, or get to the calls here. But I think it's important just to hear from what Rodgers said after the game, because it speaks to the inept attitudes of the Jets' entire organization and lack of accountability. Let's listen.
The cadence specifically, Robert said that might be something you guys have to dial back a little bit. Is that something you think could potentially help the situation?
It's one way to do it. The other way is hold them accountable. I mean, we haven't had an issue. We've had one false start. Morgan had one false start, I believe, until this. So, it's been a weapon. We use it every day in practice. We rarely have a false start. And to have, 5 today, it seemed like, 4 or 5. Yeah, it seems like an outlier. I don't know if we need to make mass changes based on kind of an outlier game.
He's been using his cadence as a weapon his entire career, and Salah's response is, well, maybe we need to change the cadence. And you hear the quarterback say maybe they just need to be held accountable for a change, which is something they haven't been, period. Now, Salah did, I guess, walk that back today.
Of course he did.
Naturally, miscommunication.
Oh, sure.
That's not what he meant by cadence.
Yay.
When have you used cadence anywhere but that?
That is just, oh, God. That's so embarrassing, Sal. Think about some of the great weapons in sport, whether it's Pedro's changeup or Greg Maddox's precise, accuracy or Phil Mickelson's flop shot. Aaron Rodgers' cadence is right up there.
Right.
And now, it's the Jets. If there's one organization that could get already, 4 weeks into the season, already get to a point where we have to question one of the all-time assets from one of the all-time quarterbacks. It's a joke. It's an absolute, they weren't ready. The 15, you guys watched the game. 15 penalties, 13 of which were obviously, taken. That game changes everything. Now they have to go to London. The Vikings look like they're real. I know what happened with the Bills last time. The Bills are going to be a handful. It changes the entire complexion of the Jets season. They weren't ready.
It doesn't mean the season is over.
I'm not saying that.
Right, but what it needs to do is get everybody back to reality here. Make them, whether you're a Jet fan or not, make them earn it. They need to show us. Show us. Go beat the Vikings. Go beat the Bills or whoever. Show us before we sit here and say, playoffs, division, Super Bowl, best case. Show us. And with that head coach, I don't believe that they will show us. BT and Sal on the Fan, our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. John is in Manhattan. What's up, John?
Hey, guys. What's going on? How you doing? I called it after week 1. I said any well-coached team is going to beat this Jets team. So just go through the schedule now. Highlight who has a good coaching staff. They're going to beat this team. I called in last week. I said that we throttle the Patriots, but the penalties are still a massive glaring issue. We got to stop with Salah. It's time that he gets fired because he can't lead the team. and it's just going to be more and more of all this disappointment. You could have had Zach Wilson as our quarterback yesterday. We probably lose 10-3 instead of 10-9, but this is absolutely ridiculous. We need to stop giving leeway to Salah and just start calling for his head.
So John, what else do you want us to say? I mean, I don't know how much more blunt I can be. He's not good.
They're not going to fire him either in season. The time to do that.
Whoa, hold on a sec. You think if this continues, you don't think that he's going to get fired during the season?
Well, not at any point where it could save the season.
If they get smoked in London,
no way.
You don't think that there's a conversation that really needs to be had about him losing his job?
No way.
I do.
That. No, the time to have it was last year.
I understand that, but that doesn't mean you just keep pushing this thing forward and ignoring the reality of what might be going down.
Right, but then what's the answer?
I know he's not the answer. Nathaniel Hackett. He's not the answer. I know that, Sal. I don't know what the answer is. I know he ain't it. That I know.
Understood. I'm with you. By the way, that looked like a Zach Wilson quarterback game yesterday. That reminded me of watching the Jets pre-Aaron Rodgers. That should never happen again. Ever. I don't care what the weather's like or who the opponent is. That should never happen.
See, this is what bothers me. So they're on the 1 yard line, right? And you got a 250-pound horse who is ready to eat. Just let him out of the stable, stick it in his stomach, and let him just break somebody in half and get the touchdown. Nope, they got to get cute. Now, well, Robert Saleh's not in charge of the offense. I understand. If that's my team, I walk up to Hackett and I say, dude, I don't know what you're doing. Give him the football.
Right.
Stop dancing around. Like that's what I mean. I understand he's a defensive coach, but to have no influence on the offense, it is a joke. And there is a little teeny, tiny window where the Jets have a chance to win with Rodgers before they got to pay all these guys. And the window is now. And here we are entering October, and it's already shutting.
It's ineptitude of the highest levels, and it's because they don't have the people in place to hire the right people, to put the right people in place. Like this, it's gone on and on and on. Think about it. Jim Harbaugh was available. If I were an owner, I would have done anything. And this is not just this offseason. I'm talking about years ago.
I know.
You do, when a guy like that is available, and this is for the Giants and the Jets, but obviously we're talking about the Jets right now, you do whatever you can to get that guy in your building and let him run your entire team. And then from there, he'll build it up. That's what he does. And they didn't do it. And instead, they go hire these first-time guys and these guys who were over their heads in New York or whatever. And by the way, he's not the only one. They could have made moves. Even if you forget about 4 years ago, they could have made moves this year. Vrabel was another name that you brought up.
Love Vrabel.
Yeah, I mean,
love him.
Who knows what would happen with Belichick. Belichick's so smart, he wouldn't have come here because he knows he doesn't want to work for this owner and be in that organization. But anyway, point is, this is a big problem because they have not built a foundation. End of story.
That's true.
Nick is in Nanuet. What's up, Nick?
Nick, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing today?
All right. What's up?
All right. So I got a couple of things that I want to say. So first of all, Breece Hall hasn't been that guy. Everyone thought he was. Not even close, in my opinion. I mean, yesterday solidified that. I mean, how do you carry the ball consistently and you're getting crushed behind the line, and then this kid Allen comes in and he's moving the ball. And you know, it's crazy. I'm watching the game and I'm saying to myself, how are they not putting this kid in? We drafted him. He's 245 pounds. What's going on? So, here we go. Salah is the most pathetic little fraud I've ever seen in my life. He is lost. The fact I have to watch this clueless idiot every Sunday coach my favorite football team is terrible.
No, I would have to start calling him an idiot. I got you. Thanks for the way. We're not going to start dropping idiots, and we're not going to make this personal. Yeah. He's just a horrendous head coach.
He seems like a great guy I'd like to hang out with.
No doubt.
He also seems like a guy who maybe I could teach a thing or two about football too. I mean, what? Well, I mean, come on. And you said to yourself, "Oh, I just want to have anything to do with the offense." That's a problem. You're the head coach. God, that game is directly on him. The slop that's out there from the get-go. Forget week 1 against the Niners. Look at that game yesterday. You're at home. You're 8-point favorites. Yep. Penalties galore. You have way more penalties than you do first downs or yards or whatever you want to, joke you want to throw out there. Like, that was as bad as it gets.
And by the way, don't ignore this either. Just because they were able to win and Will Levis was awful. You know, the way they looked against San Francisco, which was not prepared, to put it nicely. And the way they started that Tennessee game, they were not ready for that game. Like, they got very lucky. We talked about this. I was there the next day. If Will Levis doesn't play, hot potato, throw it on the turf, they're down 10-0 minimally, probably down 14-0, and they're probably 0-2. So they weren't even ready to react to the performance against San Francisco. See, here's the problem with the Jets. With Robert Salah, with him, when they play poorly and you need to button things up, the next game, and come back and really dial it in, and with focus, you don't trust him. And when they play well and they're coming off a win, they've got some momentum, you don't trust them to be buttoned up to keep that momentum going. So, this is what it's going to be. A little up, a little down. A little up, little down. And this roster, while I get your point, maybe it's been anointed too quickly, this roster is talented. To be 2-2, it doesn't equate to the players they have.
And I feel bad for Jet fans because you and other Jet fans did not have I could separate myself from it and say Salah's going to hold you back. But you don't want to believe what you really know deep down.
But I agreed with you when I said. I said they will win in spite of Salah.
Well,
I've said that.
Right, but how can you win really in spite of the head coach?
Well, against teams like the Broncos. I don't necessarily mean the Super Bowl.
No, I know, but I think ultimately, most Jet fans know and knew that Robert Salah was never going to be the guy. And you had to hope and just believe and ignore it because nothing you can do about it. He is your guy. You either want to get excited for the season or you don't.
Yeah.
He is your guy. And now you're seeing it play out to where this is why he's a problem. Pete is in Seaford. What's up, Pete?
Hey, Pete.
Guys, the best time to fire Salah was the day after the Super Bowl last year. The second best time was when I called you guys 2 weeks ago after the Tennessee game, and I said, we have 2 weeks. We have a gimme game on Thursday against the Patriots. We have 2 weeks to bring Vrabel in, let him get some semblance of his own system in here, and get ready for the meat of this schedule. And you guys hung up on me and said, Pete, that was the silliest thing we've heard all day. And now here we are. This man is going to keep us from winning football games. The minister was to travel all the way to London. The Jets elected not to take their bye after the London game. So there is no relief coming after this. The Vikings, if the season ends today, Sam Darnold is MVP, and it's not even particularly close. We're going to lose in London. We have Josh Allen going to bounce back again from a disastrous game last night on Monday night, and all of a sudden this season is in a total tailspin. Total tailspin. We should have fired Salah after the Tennessee game. And the last caller...
but Pete, you're not going to fire him after a win, Pete. Come on.
Why?
You're just not.
And not only that, because, again, Pete, you're missing the point. Now, nobody's been harsher critic of Salah than me, calling him multiple times the literal worst head coach in the league. However, the time to fire him is not in season, especially when we're in week 4. Even after yesterday, if you're not firing him after yesterday's loss, you're certainly not firing him after a win, his first win of the season in Tennessee. It makes no sense. You, Pete, wanted the same thing that I wanted. Fire him after last year. But once you make the decision to stick with him, you're not firing him anytime soon.
It was very telling to me, and I said this when I got back from Tennessee. When you watch it on TV, and you've been to a couple of games already this year, Sal, Jets and Giants, when you're in the stadium, you can see things differently. And where I was seated, I was at the 40, and I was maybe 20 rows behind the Jets bench. The lack, right in front of Vera Tucker's parents, the lack of interaction from Robert Salah to his team was mind-blowing. And this was when they were playing poorly to start. I'm watching him, and I actually took a video of it, not to put him on blast, but whatever. It's on my accounts if you want to see it. They are getting shredded early on, playing so poorly. He's not talking to anybody. Not even the remnants of coaching, like the bare bones, whatever you have to do to fix something. I didn't see him do anything. And I'm like, my goodness gracious, not even a conversation. You go up and you undress somebody, nothing, by himself, walking around. He ain't it. He's not it. And I'm not going to scream, but I'm not going to yell forever because this is going to resurface throughout the year. Robert Salah ain't it. The Jets know it. They have to know it. And if they don't know it, then they're worse than I thought. They must know it because he ain't it.
And you know who definitely knows it? Aaron Rodgers. BT and Sal on the Fan. We'll get back to more of your calls on the other side. Working the Mets as well. Big day. I know there's a lot of negativity with the Jets. No, I'm excited.
You excited?
I got what I wanted, baby.
Let's go.
I want these games to matter. Mets need to beat the Braves, and they are in. So we'll have plenty on that, including watching the game with you. We're going to watch the game. Game starts at 1:10. We'll be on the air till 2 o'clock. We're going to watch along here. BT and I'll have some conversation as we watch the Mets and Braves get underway a little bit later on. We get the Knicks big trade to get into as well. So plenty to do. Just getting started on this Monday. BT and Sal on the Fan.